So hi guys, welcome to stage 17 and 18 of the Eddie Stobart build. Now both of these issues is doing more work mainly on the seat, but in addition this is a re-record. I do apologise, when I did the last recording I forgot to unmute the mic, so I've undone everything and I've put it back together. With the exception of one bit that I will explain. I am ever so sorry, I am a bit useless when I forget little tiny technical things. So let's see if I can do this issue, these two issues, the same as I did the last.
I've pounded the road from coast to coast, Yorkie and me rolling on. 'Cause a long day's run can be short on fun without Yorkie to help me along.
Okay, so I have unmuted this one so I know it's working fine. So you'll see I've got a collection of parts in front of me. Some is for this issue, some is for the others. I'll kind of sort as I go. So first of all, we've got the passenger seat support frame. This is white plastic. It looks a bit grey, but I'm going to call it white. Next we have the passenger seat back upholstery, and then we have the passenger seat back panel. Now you'll see that these two are assembled. There's a reason why they're assembled, which I'll explain in a moment. Sorry, there's the passenger back support. And I'm just trying to figure out which parts are for which. So this part is 1704, the passenger seat frame. Now the first stage is to soak this upholstery and then pop in the support frame. Excuse me 1 second. I do apologise, I'm just getting to the tail end of a cold and every now and again a cough just pops up. So we need to take these parts and we need to soak this. I didn't actually soak it, I managed to get it in, but you need to pop these tabs through the hole there. Let's see if I can undo it. Oh, there we go, look, not a problem. So right, so there we go. It's easier to explain from the beginning. No, I don't know if I want to push that through there. Yeah, right, there we go. So, optional to soak this. I find I didn't need to. So we take this, we take the two tabs, and we need to just pop them into the holes on the edge of the upholstery. And if you don't soak it, it will fit, but you'll find that it doesn't stretch so much, so it's a little bit harder to get in. And there's some tabs, two on the side, one on each side, sorry, and two on the front. Just pull those right out, just so you can get this seat base in, and make sure those tabs just line up with the holes there, and that's in fine. So the next step then is to take our base and our support. Now I need to take the more rounded edge at the bottom, and then I'm going to call this pointing downward. You see these two bits there, they need to point downwards, and we need to take, so I meant to say we did get the relevant screws with it, but they're all screws that I've seen before, we've all seen before. So I need to take two 2.3 by 4 mil screws, and we just need to screw that seat base down and just hold it into position while you done it again. Right, so you need to screw from the inside of the seat. Last time I tried to screw from the bottom and it wouldn't go in, and then I finally figured out, read the instructions and you'll discover that they go in from the inside, which makes a lot more sense. So there we go, so that's in place like so. So the next step, we want to take this and add it on to the base there. Now there's two longer holes there and two shorter, and there's a more recessed one there, so you can see how that's going to line up. And I needed to switch screwdrivers because there's a little bit less space. My screwdriver's slightly wide, so I've used a thinner screwdriver. This one's come from another part work, which you will know which one if you watch my videos. So I'm going to pop the first screw in there, and I'm going to be gentle because I have put this in before. Now normally I would just put the first one in loose just until I know it fits. I do know this fits because, like I say, this is a second recording. I'm going to go in the opposite side, and there. Now I feel that that seat base is extremely secure with just the two screws. Obviously I'm going to put all four in, and this is one of the things I do like about these part works. They do seem to give you more than enough screws. Now this side is a little bit less space, and that screw doesn't seem to sit in as well. You can just see a little tiny bit, but it's the same on both sides, so that's fine. And again, it's not going to be seen, so this is the underside. But I wonder if you're concerned about the screws, maybe you could glue that in. I don't know if I'd want to try that. Right, so that's that part done. So the next stage, and this was quite tricky, we need to take this seat back, and you see we've got one screw hole either side. They need to line up there. Now this seat doesn't appear to have a moving back. Hopefully that's intentional, but we're going to take two 1.2 by 4 mil PB screws, trying not to throw them all over the table as I have just done there, and hopefully I've got all of them, because otherwise I could find myself short of screws. Right, I did lose a screw earlier on during the build, but I've got a few spares. Right, so let's just focus purely on one side. If we try to line them both up, it's really difficult to get them in. So let's just get this first one in just enough to bite. You see that the first one's not in, the second one's not in properly, but we'll worry about that. We've got maneuverability there because the first one's not in really tight. And we'll just get this second one in. It's going to take a little bit of manipulation, but is that going in? Yeah, that's going in. So now we just make sure that's lined up, which it is, and then I can just continue to screw this in until it tells us to slow down. There we go, that's in fine. So we just finished tightening the first one up. There we go. Seat's in nice and firm, the armrests are moving fine, and that is the end of stage 17, and that's the passenger seat complete. So this doesn't feel that strong. I wouldn't want to pull on this too much, but I think that's fine. I'm happy with that. Right, so issue 18, we have the following pieces. We have two jerry can stroke switch holders, and you can see that these are going to go together to make what will look like a jerry can. We have got a central storage tray. We've got a cab tilt lock handle, and then we have a switch and cable for the lights, and this is labelled 05. And then we have 3 lots of screws, which I've put all in my screw containers. 2 1.2 by 4 mil screws, so I can see, yeah, I've got enough in there. I've got 5 1.8 by 4 mil PB screws, plenty in there. And lastly, we've got 6 2.3 by 4 mil PB screws, and that will leave me one spare. So this I found quite complicated, took me absolutely ages to sort out, and what I'm going to recommend is that you get your 1.2.4mm screw ready. You're not going to need this until step 3, but I want to get it ready now, and I'll explain why. We need to locate this semicircular part, and we need this cab tilt handle. Now there's a little tab on the bottom, and on the back there's a little screw hole. What we need to do is that tab there needs to push fit into the hole there, and that will, we need to be able to see the screw hole from behind. So if we turn this around, I can just see there's a screw hole there. And what we want to do is screw that in from behind with our 1.2 by 4mm screw, which we got ready before we put that part on. Now, by knowing what I'm doing has just saved me about 15 minutes on the video. It really did take me a long time to figure this out, and I think part of the reason for that is I was under the assumption that this handle was going to move, because it sounds like, with it being called the cab tilt lock handle, it suggests that you move it to unlock the cab so that the whole cab comes forwards, but it looks like it's there for show and not actual function, and there'll be some other way to tilt the cab. I really don't know at this stage, so we'll find out as the build progresses. So the next step is to fit the light switch. Now I found this easier to switch to step 2 and then go back to stage 1 or step 1, and stage 2 is to place the label end of the cable into piece 1802, which is this smaller jerry can. And if you don't want to damage your label, just fold that label over, and then we can gently push that through, and then I can just leave that hanging. So then we switch to step 1, and we need to fit this this switch into this jerry can there, and what we really need to do is really push that down. Mine's gone in easily because I had already assembled it, so I pulled it out, but this has just fallen off, so that's blown my theory about doing this. So let's pop that back on. There we go. So make sure this switch is pushed all the way down, and the only way you'll know is when you get to step 3 and you put this other piece on. That will not fit if that switch is not in place, and I have put that in perfectly. So I found that when you're trying to get this second piece of jerry can on, the switch is just coming out, it's just falling out, so it's easier, I think, to put that on first. So that's in place, and you'll see that it will either fit perfectly or that jerry can will not go together. So you've really got to make sure that switch is pushed down. So we secure that with a 2.3 by 4mm screw, and that just goes into the back like so. Voila, jerry can is on and the switch is working perfectly. I have no idea which is on and which is off at the moment, but I suppose it depends on which way round I've put it. So take the cab assembly, identify the fixing point, which looks like it's going to be here, and we have a keyhole fitting with a jerry can, so that's going to go there. And that's not a terrific fit, but it can't fit any other way round. So that needs to be fixed from underneath with a 2.3 by 4mm screw, So holding this jerry can carefully, let's get that screw in there, and as usual I will just do a few screws just to secure it roughly in place. Make sure it's in, which it is. So I'm going to hold that jerry can a bit more firmly now, and then I'm going to just finish screwing that in. Because it's plastic, in plastic it will tell us when to stop. And there we go. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Right, so that is that step done. So run the cable of the switch through the small notch. So there's a notch there, so we want to run that into that notch there. Lovely. And then beneath the cable grip on the underside of the cab floor, orange arrow. So it's going to go up through there. Yeah. Run the cable of the switch through the small notch in the edge of the cab, red arrow. Right, okay, I've confused my red and my orange. So we have the small notches there, so that's where the red arrow is, and then we want to go up through the orange part. So there we go, that's got that cable tidied. So we now have 2 wires to worry about. So the next step is to fit the tray and the seats. So take the cab assembly and storage tray, and we have, there we go, so we have 2 screw holes and we have a peg. The peg is going to go in there and the 2 screw holes there. So this, I presume, is where the driver is going to put all his paperwork and delivery sheets and delivery invoices while he's driving. And then we need to turn that over and fix with 2 2.3 by 4mm screws. So we'll get a couple of screws ready. And it looks like the easiest way is to place one finger on the tray, turn it upside down. There's our 2 holes. Right, that's in just enough to hold. So it's things like this that I do like. It's the small details, you know. When we built this, or when we first bought this, no one said, oh my god, I hope it has a small storage tray in the middle of the cab. But once it's in, you're like, oh yeah, that's good, that's a nice look. I mean, it wouldn't look realistic without it, but so I have a slight criticism. It's looking a bit black in there, so I suppose you could just run around with a bit of a dry brush, a light grey or a white, and just go over things. That'll just pick up some of that detail, but it is looking nice. It's all, everything's in place, so I'm rather happy. Right, so next we need to take the driver's seat. So this is the driver's seat from which we've done in a previous issue, and we need to identify the fixing points. So we have the fixing points there, and you'll see that we have 1 screw and 1 peg, and we also need to take the passenger seat and look at the fixing points. So we see we've got 4 holes there, 4 holes there, and sorry, let's just go back to the driver's seat. So the driver's seat is going to go into there like so. Let's move this so you can see it a bit easier. So we see we've got 1 peg, 1 screw hole. That's going to go into there like so, and that will be fixed in place from the underneath with a single 2.3 by 4mm screw. So we'll hold the seat as best we can, find the fixing point which is there, and this, don't think that's going to be the best screwdriver for that. it's a little bit tight on space. So let's get another screwdriver from a completely different build. So that goes in there. Once that's in enough to hold, half the job is done for us. There we go. There you go, that's the driver's seat in place. So there we have an adjustable driver's seat, and that's probably how I would have it, because I have extremely short legs, so I tend to have my driver's seat closer to the pedals, but equally you could have it, if you're long-legged you might drive a little bit more like that, but as I say, I'm a bit more, sometimes I'm even like that. No, bit more like that. That's probably my driving position, because as I say, my legs are shorter in proportion to my body, but yeah, there we go, there's a seat, that's nice. So the next part then is to actually put the passenger seat in, and that's going into these 4 holes there. And so this isn't as adjustable as the driver's seat, but do we really care as much about the passenger? Obviously the driver, to be honest with you, I like that passenger seat a bit more. That's a bit bouncy. When he goes over potholes, you're going to feel that in the passenger seat, aren't you? Alright, so they need to be fixed in place with a 1.8 by 4mm screw, and that will be done from underneath. So I'm going to get 2 screws out at a time. I don't know why. And there we go, there's our fixing points there. So this is going to be our first one that I've picked for no particular reason, and this is quite awkward because if I push too hard it's going to try and push the seat out. So I think I'll work, no, I will go my normal way, which is to work in opposite corners, but it's going to remain fragile until all of the screws are in place. There we go. So I've actually tried to hold the frame rather than the seat. That is rather awkward to do. Right. It's just that with the seat being attached, this seat is attached by this support there, so there's lots, you know, it's quite sturdy. This seat is only really attached by the points there, and that's going to be quite a weak point, so possibly do the front of the seat first. Say once you've got the screws in a certain distance, there we go, I can drive that one all the way home, just so long as the front is in. It doesn't seem to want to pop out so much at the back, it's the front that's causing us more problems. So that's one side fully in, and obviously being careful every time we turn this over, because we do have fragile parts in the cab. We don't want them to snap off. Right, there we go. Just got to get a grip on this. Once we get a hold, most of it's just going to go in by itself. So I would say the passenger side is definitely harder than the driver's side because of how fragile these, but yeah, this bit I can't really get a hold on it, so I can't support it. Right, I'm going to just try a different screwdriver. It's getting my fingers in to support it in the right places. I don't want to snap that seat. There we go. So as I screw this, it's going to pull that seat support down. There we go. That's in nice. That is in really nice now. So there's a little bit of movement, and that's because it's all resting on this back bit there. So this isn't going to take a lot of weight to snap it. So if you do adjust the arms, make sure you hold the seat, because if you push that too much, you see it's going to snap there. This driver's seat is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. I might just need to tighten some of these screws up a little bit. As you can see, it's pretty much moving by itself. I think when I adjusted these, I might have just undone them a little bit too much. But you've also got to remember that when we did this, we didn't know what we were adjusting it to and what it was for. So, but I've just done a small adjustment there, and I think this might actually want to go. No, it's not going to go in. So, there we go. So, but I think, I mean, this isn't something we're going to move all the time, but so long as that driver's seat, if it's adjusted differently from the passenger seat, you're going to see that it's adjustable. So I'm going to leave my seat probably like that, because you can see it's in a completely different position from the driver's. So that is it, guys. That is stage 18 complete. And we really are starting to build this up now. It's starting to go somewhere. I have heard people suggest that this is being quite drawn out, and I can understand the basis for their claims that it's being drawn out. You know, 2 or 3 issues to do a driver's seat is not fantastic, but one thing that I've always said is that if you get a few issues where you don't seem to get a lot, you will get an issue later on where you will just get so much for one issue, and I wonder if we're beginning to get to that stage. I know we've got a chassis piece coming. We must do this piece along here. That's not going to come in about 20 different pieces, is it? So that might come in one. Having said that, this is issue 15, and I think I'm currently at the time of building about 10 issues behind, so I don't know what's coming next. So, you know, we might get some more pieces already beforehand, but yeah, 15, 16, this is, I'm quite happy with those. So not 15, 16, 17 and 18. I have no idea what's coming next, because I am now caught up to date with my subscription issues. But what I will say is I will see you in the next issue, which is going to be issue 19, which is a cab door and mirrors. So at this stage I can only assume that issue 20 is going to be more work on the doors. So let's see if I'm correct. Right, take care guys, and I will catch you next issue.